Hi, everybody, and welcome back to EBnet.Stream. We recently published an article that was released together with the PFA's report to Parliament on the happenings at the Adjudicator's office. And I thought I'd reach out to Nondumiso Ntshangase, who is a senior legal advisor at the Office of the Pension Funds Adjudicator, to discuss some of the comments in that press release around complaints and COFI. So welcome to EBnet.Stream, Nondumiso.
Thank you very much, Nathalie. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to our conversation.
Great, me too. Let's start at the beginning. So we all know a little bit about COFI. We all know what the FSCA is saying about COFI, but how does COFI change, or does it change anything when it comes to complaints and the Pension Funds Adjudicator's office and process?
Yeah. So there's definitely changes that are going to come with COFI that impact the Office of the Pension Funds Adjudicator. I think one of the notable changes is the fact that we are going to accommodate oral complaints, which is something that we haven't done before. So that's one of the aspects that will expand our mandate, so to speak. And another aspect that does impact our complaints will be the fact that we are now going to also take complaints when COFI becomes law. We'll take complaints that are from public sector funds such as the GEPF, because the definition of retirement fund in the COFI bill expands to include the public sector funds. So it does impact the complaints that we are going to be dealing with. So definitely. But I think what's also important to say, Nathalie, just as we start this conversation, is that there's been many different versions of the bill which the public has commented on. We haven't seen the final version of the bill, and the final version would take into account the public consultation process, which means that maybe there might be things there that are added or removed. So we must just bear that in mind as we have this conversation. And my comments are based on the most recent draft that was publicized on the COFI bill.
So that's a valuable point, because I think there's a lot of conversation in the industry right now around COFI, and yet we're still awaiting a final version post the final round of consultation. So thank you for caveating our whole discussion with that comment, because I think that that's important. But yes, I mean, I don't think the bringing in of the government employees pension fund into the mandate or into the regulatory environment is going to change. So I think that is going to happen. And if I'm thinking about Muvhangu's last commentary, I think it was at IRFA, when she was talking about, or in fact, Naheem was talking about the number of complaints that the pension fund adjudicator is getting and how that's increased. Surely the bringing in of the GEPF then possibly exacerbates that, or kind of makes you more busy.
Yes, yeah, definitely, because obviously the GPF is a big fund with a lot of members. So if their complaints are coming to us, then it will definitely increase our complaints.
All right, so you talk about let's start with what you said around the oral complaints. Now, oral, I imagine in my mind, is someone who knocks on your door and speaks to you, or phones you and speaks to you. How does that impact the process of, I need to approach the fund first and then come to the adjudicator? Does that process change at all?
It won't change, because if you look at the last version of the COFI bill that we're referring to, it does also have that requirement that, or rather, the similar version that we've always had, that's complainants may first lodge a complaint with the fund, and then the fund and the employer, or the fund or the employer, may respond within 30 days. We still have that. And the fund in that process is also going to receive the complaints orally. The requirement in the COFI bill is that they will receive them orally as well. And then when they receive them orally, they have to then record them. So it is a process. It is going to impact that process, because funds are also going to have to ensure that they accurately record these complaints, so that when they come to us, we also have the information that they had when they were looking at the complaint and resolving it with the complainant before it came to us.
Okay, so retirement funds need to record these complaints.
100%.
And I guess that means all complaints, because they don't know which ones will be going or escalated to the adjudicator and which ones wouldn't be.
Yes, the provision in the COFI bill is specific to say the oral complaints would have to be recorded, must be recorded. So they have to keep records of those complaints so that also, I think the requirement is that when it goes to the board, because the board is the one that actually has to look at the complaint, so it must be accurately recorded for the board, which ultimately means that they will have that record for us as well.
Yeah. While we're on the process, does COFI or anything in the latest iteration of COFI, does it change anything within your internal processes at the PFA? And I'm thinking about some complaints that may be accelerated or vulnerable complainants or stuff like that. Anything changes in that regard when it comes to COFI?
I'm just trying to think regarding because the main issue would be the oral complaints, right? And
okay.
If you're talking about the refer to fund process, I don't see how it would impact that, because when the complaint comes to us, it would have to just be recorded, and then it follows the process. So, but we would obviously have to see when the processes are updated if there's any changes that have to impact that process, and funds would be updated accordingly. But yeah, I don't see a lot changing in the process.
Any changes to the definition of complaint or complainant?
There are changes in the definition of complainants. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head what is now different. I didn't see anything that is different that impacts our office, because the complainants that could previously access our office with the Pension Funds Act still can access it, and I haven't seen anyone that has been added specifically on that. And then I'm trying to think now with the definition of complaint. I think the definition of complaint mostly carries also mainly the elements that were there in the previous definition, in the current definition rather, in the Pension Funds Act. So I wouldn't say so.
Hiya pals, greetings from Sammy. EBnet is proud to bring you top quality content from experts across the financial services industry in South Africa and internationally for free. Your support helps us in doing this. All we ask is that you subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button below. Share this video with others you think will benefit from it. And give us a thumbs up if you are enjoying the content. That way you help us help you. Thank you from the team at EBnet. For more great content, please visit www.ebnet.co.za. Ciao, ciao, and bye-bye.
And from a high level, look, complaints management and complaints really recording is becoming a thing for retirement funds. I mean, that's coming from both the FSCA and always has been from the PFA. But the actual recording, the management of complaints, and now I'm talking before it even hits your desk. Can you see, or do you have an opinion on what funds should be doing in preparation now for COFI when it comes to complaints management?
I think funds must obviously ensure that they have proper processes when it comes to complaints management. When the complaint comes in, recording the complaint and ensuring that the nature of the complaint is clear, and ensuring that the complaint is responded to timelessly. So I think it's things like that, ensuring that the processes that the fund has are not only just that tick box exercise, but that they actually at the end of the day, have a fair outcome for the particular complainant that has come to the fund. I think that that's what I can say on that.
I think it's such a good point, because if I think about my days as a fund officer, we would always look at the reporting around the PFA complaints, but never around the other complaints. And I think, funds have been really good and disciplined at monitoring, let's call those formal complaints, but the kind of, the everyday expression of unhappiness, was almost regarded as an administrator's responsibility. I think what we're seeing now is a much more formal process that the fund, and by the fund, that means the board of trustees needs to monitor it. It's not just a case of, the administrator filling in a spreadsheet and kind of that's our complaints monitoring and recording. It really elevates to a higher level.
Yeah, and I think on that point, Nathalie, I think what's also going to assist funds in ensuring that there is fair outcomes for members, especially when it comes to complaints, is to analyze the complaints data. You don't just record them for the sake of recording them and to prove that you did comply by having a spreadsheet. You have to ensure that you see what are the recurring issues for members. If members are mostly having issues regarding communication or having issues regarding reaching the service provider, you must then see that, okay, there's a gap here because these are the type of complaints that we get, and you analyze them to put measures in place to ensure that those, even the other members who have been complained, have fair outcomes, and that those that have complained are treated fairly at the end of the day.
You raised such a good point, because I was actually going to ask you, does the PFA's office, and now you can share some backscene intel with us, does the PFA's office have like a repeat offenders list? So if you notice a particular fund has a trend of, like you say, complaints around sloppy death benefit allocations, or complaints around ununderstandable communication, or if there's trends that you guys are picking up from certain funds, do you start writing to those funds and saying, hey guys, we're noticing this trend?
Yeah. So unfortunately, I can't give you the details. I don't have the details on the actual offenders, but I'm sure it's something that can, that can be pulled to say these are the type of issues normally we deal with these specific funds. For example, Section 13A issues, we know that those are the main issues that the office deals with, and we do engage with funds. This is also part of our stakeholder engagement process to ensure that if there are recurring issues, we don't just leave them and keep on issuing determinations. We do engage the boards, the principal officers of those funds and administrators to let them know that this is an issue. How are you resolving it? I think stakeholder engagement is very important for the office, because we want to work together with funds to ensure that at the end of the day, members have those fair outcomes, right? It's something we're already doing to make sure that we're not just also doing a tick box exercise of issuing determinations without addressing the issues as well with the funds to ensure that they don't occur again.
That's good to know. So it's good to know, that even the adjudicator or the ombuds is kind of trending or looking at these types of things. It's an important question to ask. Retirement funds, trustees, management committees should be asking for this type of information to see if there is trends, of complaints from members. Because I believe that, a complaining member is actually a valuable asset, because that's feedback. Right, you can hear what's frustrating them. You can improve your processes. You can possibly change your benefits, but it's 100%. Valuable feedback rather than the uninvolved member who just doesn't care. And kind of while we're on that topic, and I'll wrap up with this because we are running out of time. But two-pot. So the rumor, the reporting all says two-pot. Really, really added to your workload at the adjudicator's office. Do you have any comments or insights around that? Maybe that you can guide funds going into the future when it comes to two-pot comms or education?
Yeah, no, definitely. It has increased our complaints. I think communication that has been issued from our office would show the stats. I don't have them offhand, but we do have stats on Two-Pot, which obviously came as an effect of people trying to withdraw their benefits and finding out that there's either nothing in the savings pot or in the fund at all. People were complaining then based on that, which then I guess resulted in the increase of complaints. And I think in the future, it will still result in that, because people will continuously try and withdraw from their savings component. I think when it comes to funds going forward, it's very important to communicate to members. I think I keep on referring to this point of a tick box exercise, and I sound like a broken record now, but I think for me it's very important to communicate, and not just for the sake of communicating, because when it comes to these type of complaints related to Two-Pot, we are going to see in the future people resigning or leaving their employments through dismissal, and they realize that they have depleted their savings component, and they can't, and maybe they've taken their vested component when they left an employer at some point, and in the current fund they don't have a vested component that they can take when they resign, and they can only take their retirement component at the end when they retire. That's going to also pose a lot of or cause a lot of dissatisfaction from members, who are going to be complaining now to say, well, I'm dismissed, I don't have any other income. Can you then make me access my retirement component? So I think it's going to be important for funds to continuously remind members that these are the implications of you withdrawing from your savings component, as well as the fact that when you are withdrawing from your savings component, there are tax implications. We have seen some determinations where people have gotten zero rands, because most of the amounts went to SARS. So that's just important funds to continuously communicate around that, so that they don't have members complaining in future for things that they would have known before they actually withdrew. So I think that would be my concluding thought on Two-Pot.
So it's such a valid point, right? Everybody was so focused on the savings component, the kind of conversation around the retirement component that you can only access potentially much later. I don't think has been surfaced enough yet. And I think there's going to be some grumpy people out there.
Very much so.
Nondumiso, it's always a pleasure chatting to the Adjudicator's office. Thank you very much for taking the time to chat to me today, and I'm sure we'll chat again soon.
Thank you very much for having me, Nathalie.